Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Rick's Room. It must be Wednesday night at 8 o'clock Central Standard Time. You're on live with your host, Mr. Rick, for another episode of Dear Black People. As we're finishing out February and Dear Black People, all of our episodes for Black History Month. Thank you for tuning in if you have. And if you have not, catch up. We are here on IntellectualRadio.com and iHeartRadio and iTunes station. Find us live streaming here on Facebook, on YouTube, as well as several other platforms and IntellectualRadio.com. And listen, if this is your first time kicking it with us in the room, welcome. We invite you to participate and join in with our discussion. We talk about confronting stereotypes, current events, or whatever else just may come up. And if you're back again for another visit, like my guest, Dr. Prater, is, welcome back. Thanks for swinging back by. You know the deal. Go ahead and grab your adult beverage, get comfortable, find you a chair, a couch, a spot on the floor, wherever. Just stay off my bed. Stay off my bed. And we are looking forward to having a great discussion. I have two wonderful guests here with me this evening who are going to participate in this conversation about mental health. It's a thing. Dear Black people, mental health, it is a thing, and we got to talk about it. We want to make sure that we're having conversations that we're supposed to be having, that we need to have for our community. So let me introduce you to a couple of guests that we have on here on the show. First, I'm going to start with Dr. Nicole Thompson. Good evening.
Good evening.
How are you?
A little nervous, but okay.
You're going to be all right. You're going to be all right. We got our beverages for the evening. We're looking good. We're sounding good. Tell me a little bit about yourself, Dr. Thompson. Where are you from? What you do?
Well, I'm from the south side of Chicago,
South
Inglewood. Our family's watching.
Hey, family.
So what I do, I currently teach. I work at a private practice. I work for an insurance company. So I do a couple of different things.
Nice.
And I'm currently trying to work on some research.
Okay.
I'm a dissertation chair.
Oh, another one coming up. Listen,
Yes.
y'all, Dr. Thompson don't stop. Like, she does not stop. She was one of my professors that I enjoyed being in class with. Taught me a lot about child and adolescent psychology, and I was grateful to have her as a professor, so I'm glad to have you on the show. Thank you so much for joining me this evening. And then I have my returning guest, Dr. Now we can officially say Dr. Prater is in the building. What's going on, Dr. Prater? How are you?
I'm great because I'm officially a doctor.
Yes! Hair flip.
Curl flip.
That works. Tell the guests, remind us a little bit about what you got going on, where you're from, all of that. Because you just came back from a vacation.
I did. I'm not even going to talk about my vacation because then I'll be sad. But shout out to my Aunt Kim, who hopefully is tuned in. And thanks for the lovely vacation. But I have been here for almost 11 years, practicing mental health for about the same amount of time. And I work at a private practice right now. I'm also working on my own company, and it's growing slowly but surely, Nia's House. So, hopefully I'll be able to share more about that later, as it is a new company that's growing. But I'm looking forward to expanding my own personal practice and helping more people.
Sounds good. Well, I appreciate you coming back in the room and hanging out with us this evening as well. We're going to have a good conversation, ladies and gentlemen. Feel free to join in the conversation with us by commenting on the live stream there on Facebook. Look, everybody's got their phone out, so they'll be participating and reading your comments as will I. Y'all see, I got two laptops today, so I'm set up. I'm ready to go. Right? I got it. Yep. Well, you can type back. You can. We'll talk about some of the comments and read them aloud here as well. In addition to that, feel free to give us a call. Talk with us about your experiences, expertise, if you have some opinions or what have you. 708-223-8953 is the number to dial to reach out to us, and we're looking forward to talk to you this evening. Real quick, we got to do our quick cheers this Wednesday. Good to have y'all in the room. Cheers. That's what we do. Listen, this show is being brought to you by A Shakur Boutique. Still offering 20% off of any total purchase by joining the mailing list. You can check her out and all of her latest fashion options at www.shopashakurboutique.com. And tonight's show, again, is being brought to you by DLP Serenity Travel. If you're looking for a getaway and can't find the time to plan a vacation, just check out DLP Serenity Travel and get your vacation planning taken care of. Planning trips, both domestic and international, and even cruises, DLP Serenity Travel can get you ready for your next getaway. So contact DLP Serenity Travel by visiting their website at www.dlpserenitytravel.com or give them a call directly, 773-678-4161 to schedule a consultation. That's DLP Serenity Travel, where it's all about you. All right, so I decided that Dr. Prater knows, Dear Black People has been going on, all month. And Dr. Thompson, I don't know if you've seen some of the episodes in the past, but we really have just been trying to confront some of the conversations and issues and concerns within our community. If you're not Black, it's okay. You can still participate in this conversation, in this discussion, and share your own opinions. But tonight I felt like we should close out, Dear Black People, with a conversation about mental health, right? Being aware of it, some of the opportunities that we have, obstacles as Black people, and how we can, kind of get past that. And I think just like a general practitioner or a specialist, mental health should be recognized as such, right? And I don't know if we really do a good job with that as a culture. Right. Not to mention, y'all, I got two beautiful ladies, and next month we roll out. I think I'm going to do Dear Ladies for Women's History. So why not have some outstanding ladies here with me to kind of usher that in? But let's talk about why do you all think that we have such a difficult time with accepting, mental health as being a thing? Like, what is that? Where's our barrier really at?
Well, I mean, there's a couple of things. In my experience, the parent may think, or parents may think that they've done something wrong. No one wants to be the bad parent. Another thing that I've seen is just, we're a deeply religious community. And there, we're really not taught, as a profession, how to work with our community. So, in my experience, I was told, like, Black people are very religious. And it was like, okay, now what? And then we just move on to another topic. Like, okay, but also we don't talk about, partnering with, religious leaders in mental health, because research shows that if you're working with a deeply religious community, you might want to work with the pastor. And the pastor say, okay, you're okay, then you might have an end there. So
I guess it is good to have, shout out to West Point Baptist Church. I do it all the time for all of the partnering that they do with, the community, and ensuring that there are opportunities to address some of those things. But you're right. I mean, Black folks we are so religious, right? And I got to go see a psychiatrist. Well, just pray. Now, when did that become a thing? God gave us doctors for a reason. You know what I mean? Exactly. I don't know. And Dr. Prater, feel free to jump in. What are some of the things that you've seen in your past that, kind of create that barrier for us as a people to accept the fact that we should be addressing our mental health?
Stigma is always a big thing. It's stigmatized. Age groups stigmatize it differently, depending on your cultural makeup, because we, as Africans in the diaspora, we are made up of so many different groups. And so, for folks who have immigrated to this country recently, it may feel like, I can't trust this country yet. So no, I'm not going to do that. For other folks, it may be the religion and the spirituality. And it's, I'll just go to my pastor, I'll pray. For other folks, it's, we ain't supposed to trust them doctors because you know how they treated us when we were slaves or after slavery with, the Tuskegee experiments and, things like that. So there are so many different things around stigma that make it challenging for folks to access, for us folks, I should say, to access mental health. And then access or resources in our communities, in our neighborhood. Where are the facilities? Do we know where they are? Do we have marketing? Is any of that in existence? And so when that kind of stuff is not present, I know that I go from high to low very frequently, and people say and joke and say I'm bipolar, but I don't know where to go to get help.
Wow. When I think about, coming up on the west side of Chicago, shout out to all the west side all day. I'm here at the table full of south siders, so pray for me. It's, I think back to some of the places. I mean, I look at what the West Loop and the South Loop has done, but when you get into the urban communities, the real urban communities, you really don't see advertisement for, mental health, right? Or just, addressing some of the places that you can go for resources when it comes to mental health. Why is that? Like, how can we, I'm at a loss for when it comes to our communities not having what it takes to have those resources for us, I guess, and I don't know what we could really do to address that. in our urban communities. And I know, Dr. Thompson, you talked about, the insurance coverage and, some of the opportunity that we have there. What's your experience with insurance and coverage and our knowledge or awareness about that?
Well, so my experience has been that a lot of, it's particularly when you're talking about lower income African Americans, don't really know how to utilize the health insurance. So I spent a lot of time educating them on, what's the difference between an HMO, PPO, Medicare, Medicaid.
What is the difference between HMO?
For real.
Just real quick, can you drop a little bit on that for me? Because I need some help there.
HMO, you have to go to your primary physician before you can be referred out to a specialist, versus if you have a PPO, then you can go directly to your specialist. So for an example, if an individual has an HMO, they have to go to their primary care physician to get a referral for OB-GYN.
Mm-hmm.
Versus if you have a PPO, you can go directly, you can just make an appointment with your OB-GYN.
I don't have to go to one of those, but I should. I get it.
Yeah.
But you correlate that there. That's fine.
So an example like that.
Okay.
As far as advertisement, I'm of the school of thought. I really love being out in the community as a therapist. I think that some of the advertisement is us coming outside of our private practices, going to our aldermen. They have constituent nights. So educating our community about the resources that's available to them. Also, learning about the resources that are available in particular communities, because I've seen a lot of therapists that, create really good treatment plans. But when I ask, what's going on in the community, where are you sending these people to? Do this person have access? Yeah. Do they have resources? What resources are available in the communities that you work in? They're like, So, kind of some education around, who do you talk to? Who's a resource in that community?
And is mental health, is there coverage provided for mental health when you're on, I guess, government assisted health insurance?
Yes.
Okay.
But the issue is, how many providers actually take it. And once again, educating the person about what services are available and building that rapport and the trust, because like you mentioned earlier, when we talk about fear, one thing we all have in common within the United States. Oh, I'm sorry. Let me get it. Speaking to the mic.
People need to hear this.
Right.
Is fear. And the fear has come from, just being various experiences in the African American community, whether it's trauma or, violation or discrimination that has been experienced by the individual, or vicarious trauma.
Right.
So having someone call you and say, well, yeah, I'm your health insurance provider and I want to help you. It's like, wait, no.
I ain't got that call yet. Let me get Edna on the phone and find out what's going on. Why?
It is going to take a lot of rapport building.
Sure. And listen, I want to just so that you're aware, and I think Dr. Prater knows this. I don't mean to catch you off guard. If you happen to see me look up, that's shout out to my producer, Mr. Earl, back there, trying to my coach and how I'm supposed to maintain this conversation. I have a habit that I'm trying to get out of, and we make this eye contact. So I didn't mean to disrupt when you caught me looking at him. But Mr. Earl back there making sure we're sounding good in our brand new studio here in Chicago by way of Westchester, Illinois. But so that's what that was. However, a couple of quick comments here, because it looks like there are a lot of fans here watching. And first of all, somebody got you for the liquor that's in the glass that's in front of you. Doc K. Evans pointed that out. I don't know what that's about. But R. Joel Stewart said there are so many negative connotations concerning mental health. And there are, I think we had a couple of individuals talk about, the church community. And where that's stigmatized too. Adrian Camia, I believe is how you pronounce the last name. Camia. Okay. BBF Family Services on the West Side offers free mental health services. Tell them Dr. A sent you. All right, Dr. A, I got you. Thank you for representing for the West Side out there too. We appreciate that. K. Doc Locke says, and even when they are present, they're so overwhelmed that the wait times can be lengthy. And I can imagine that being, an issue or concern for individuals when it comes to mental health. But I would like to say then that's a good thing, because at least you got people going,
That's true. I'm running into that problem right now. Right now I work with HELP, which is a private practice in Bronzeville, Hyde Park, and South Holland in terms of the Chicagoland area. And we are getting all kinds of calls, and it's a mid-size, I guess, practice. But one of the stipulations is, what kind of insurance do you have? And we accept Medicaid and Medicare. And so there's even confusion around that. Like, I'm a licensed clinical professional counselor, so I can't take Medicare, but licensed psychologists can. And so lay folks, as we call them, they may not know that. And so they're just like, well, I have to call you guys. And so why can't you help me? And then there's limited numbers. And so there's not a lot of people. So, right now I can't accept any new clients, which is a good problem to have. But at the same time, I'm like, but there are more people who need assistance. And so how do I help more people?
Right.
So.
Right. And I think, let's see, we got Shauna Renee Moore. Thanks for tuning in, Shauna. She said Thrive Counseling Center in Oak Park. I think she was shouting out another place. Look at all these people just throwing out places to go get you some mental health. Get you some mental health. Let's see, we got a couple of more comments I want to take a look at here. Shauna Renee Moore also said, so many Christian leaders claim depression can just be prayed away. They can educate themselves on biblical topics, but refuse to educate themselves on mental illness. Alexius Thompson, it is true. A lot of Black people don't even know how to utilize their health care, or they always refer the kids to church as if church is a resource. I'm telling you, everyone knows it is definitely a thing that people go to church for this. I mean, so many different things. Like, church is the answer for everything. My sister, K. Doc Locke, says it all the time. God created doctors. They're the specialty that they have, the specialists that they're in for a reason. So, and I'm glad she's participating in the discussion too as well.
Betty Alexis Thompson, that's my sister.
Oh, what's up, sis? What's going on?
My family's listening.
Look, we always love to have family out. And hey, listen, family, and all of you all that are watching, make sure you share this on your Facebook page so that you can get your family, friends, and followers involved in this conversation. They can join in the discussion right here on the live stream with us, or they can catch up on it later. And if you happen to miss any of the shows, you're always welcome to catch us or check us out on on iHeartRadio under the podcast section, or on iTunes. Let me ask you all this, because you all being sisters in the community and the South Side and in church, in your experience for you all, because I know for me, I'm a true advocate on defending this as much as I can when it comes to health insurance, health awareness, mental health awareness, HIV/AIDS, and preventative medication, and all of that. I am a fan of getting out there and these conversations had. What have you all had to face, with being Black, talking about mental health? This is your field. How do you defend that, saying that this is something that you need to get looked at? What does that look like for y'all? Because I know it's got to be crazy.
Well, when it comes to church, you got to be able, one thing we learn as therapists is that you have to adjust yourself according to the community that you're in.
Yep.
So how I twist it is that, who's educating your child? Is it going to be the streets or what you consider the devil, or are you going to allow someone who's a part of your church community to work to help educate your child about whatever's going on? Because just because we don't talk about it doesn't mean that it actually goes away. It doesn't. And all it does is that's how you have the child that runs away from church and don't come back for like 20 some years because the experience was so horrific. So, I mean, I have no problem talking about, encouraging the conversation of talking about sex and LGBT community within the church, because like I said, the conversation, it just because we don't talk about it, just because you don't feel comfortable talking about it, doesn't make the issue go away. It just fester, and then the child then then you have that parent that something horrific happens to the child, or the child does something to themselves, and they say, well, I don't know what happened.
Right.
Well, that's
The
because the
signs
child
were probably there.
the signs were there, but and like I said, no parent wants to feel like they've failed their child, or they're not a believer, or they're not believing enough. So you just have to be sensitive around those issues. And
Right.
I
Sure.
was sensitive around those issues.
Sure.
Typically what I do is I make it a point to keep people around me that understand and are aware of mental health issues, the mental health world. And when I'm around people who don't, I try to educate them. As many opportunities as I have, I try to educate. And so I even educate my clients. I talk to them about systems. I talk to them about how, because often I have clients who grew up in church, but church hurt them, so they're away. And I feel a duty as a disciple of Christ to help kind of pull them back without being this uber religious, kind of counselor. And so I use education, or psychoeducation, as we call it in the field, to help people understand, well, you growing up in this country and living in poverty, or living in poverty and going to church and having just a mother who is devoutly religious, that affects your view of the world. And your view of the world is now impacting how you behave in the world as an adult. And so changing some of that stuff up can help you get back in balance. So I have friends all the time that are like, hey, I'm going through this, that, and the third. And I'm like, you need a referral? 'Cause I ain't going to be a counselor.
You need a referral. While you playing though, sure, write one out for me. I appreciate it.
I'm taking referrals. I work at Counseling Speaks. We work in the downtown area, Deerfield, as well as Ithaca Counseling.
I'm not going that far out. Okay, Bronzeville.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think referrals. But listen, I'm a fan of it. Like I need somebody to go talk to, because life, it just like anything else, right? You definitely want to make sure that you are paying attention to all of your body, your mind, spirit, your physical, all of those attributes that make you who you are important to focus on. And I'm a fan. And speaking of the whole holistic, the show is also being brought to you by Mind Over Matter, offering holistic health and wellness services that focus on healing the whole you, mind, body, and soul. Mom was recently also featured in an article on Voyage Chicago, so you can check it out on Facebook. You can follow Mom on Facebook as well, and check them out and see what Mom can do for you at www.momonline.us. Also, the Cookout on Wheels. Y'all know I'm a fan of the Cookout. I've been working with them for a bit, and the Cookout on Wheels is sponsoring tonight's show as well. You can have them cater your next big event. Just give them a call here on or reach out to them here on Facebook. They are serving backyard barbecue options, including the award-winning prime rib sandwich. You can customize your menu and make your event a huge success. Just find them there on Facebook, the Cookout on Wheels, or give them a call directly at 630-708-7820. And email Tasha directly at cookiecrumbs10@gmail.com. The Cookout on Wheels, #FriendsFedHere. I want to jump into a point that Dee made here on Facebook, because I think it was something that, he said. So D. Corey, shout out to D. Thank you so much for tuning in with us. Said, D. Corey, going to talk to someone unbiased and impartial can be so helpful, speaking from experience, no doubt. And I think that's something that maybe for us in the community, we have a hard time accepting, that there can be someone who is unbiased and impartial, even if that person looks like us. You know what I mean? I don't know. That could potentially be one of the stigmas. I want to switch over to, you all brought up some topics about, or some concerns, or just mentioned, and I want to get into our kids, right? Let's talk about our children, because I've heard this being said that growing up in the inner city, and in some of the urban areas, specifically here in Chicago, that our violence is an everyday thing. It's at an all-time high. The children are exposed to it to the point where they're almost numb, right? And they don't have the same, they don't show the same emotions that any average person, I guess, would. Some even said that they could be potentially suffering from PTSD, right? Like, how do you all think that, is that a thing? Like, is that, are they on the road to potentially suffering from that as a stress disorder?
Well, I believe so. part of the issue is that for so long, just as a people, we've been taught to mask our emotions, or, we don't want to be stereotyped. And so we've been taught to kind of play the game. Yep. And so when we look at our kids, it's, and just how Black people are portrayed, we're portrayed very poorly. And we're also socialized and taught how to look at each other as, animalistic. And, the police got this guy up on the car, he must have done something, when research shows that 97% of the time when Black people are pulled over, they're innocent.
Right.
But if you're constantly seeing that, and you're constantly being told that you're bad and people that look like you are bad, then that's where the numbing comes in at. But also, just, taking the time to actually sit down and explore. I'm glad that you actually brought it up and called it PTSD, because our children do experience a lot of trauma, but instead of it being labeled as PTSD, they get conduct disorder or reactive attachment.
Right? Is that a thing? Is that what they're doing now? That's how they're classifying it.
Or bipolar.
Or bipolar. Yep. Yes. So it really takes, when you're talking about mental health professionals working in the Black community, our voice matters when it comes to our children. Speaking out, no, this child does not have conduct disorder, and actually calling folks out. Like, if this child was of another race, right? Can I say it like that?
Yeah, sure.
Because I have to, filter myself. If this child was of another race, could you see it? You would call it PTSD if they experienced some type of trauma, or if they witnessed a shooting or something like that.
Exactly.
So yes, I would say that it is PTSD.
I was just going to go off the point where you talked about the conditioning. That's so huge. And that's the point that I try to educate general folks, and particularly my clients on. Like, growing up in a culture, you are exposed to certain things. You are conditioned to certain things. Media, family, peers, church, religion, all of that conditions you to believe something about yourself and about the world. And for African Americans in this country, like you said, we are conditioned to believe that we're the bad guys. We see it in media, we hear it in music, we turn on the news, and we're demonized. And so it's represented to us. The negative side of us is represented disproportionately, and that causes us to think, well, this is normal. And no, that's so. When I see kids who, and I've worked with children who normalize a parent almost getting stabbed, like them almost being kidnapped. And so I look at those children, and I have to not only assess myself, because that's vicarious trauma for me, because I know that that's not okay. But I also have to look at them and help them understand this behavior is not okay. This is not normal. And let me help you understand how to manage your emotions and your reactions to that behavior, so that you don't have PTSD for the rest of your life, or you're not dealing with it, and then you become an adult and now you're profiled, inappropriately, or you have all these extra mental challenges that you're dealing with in adulthood that limits your potential.
Well, they're gonna be profiled anyway.
I mean, right. This gonna happen.
Fix that.
We're profiling.
It's gonna happen. Right. Just for being. Shout out to Alexis, right? Is that am I pronouncing that correct? Oh, it's Alexis. Alexis Thompson. Alexis Thompson. It looks crazy. In order for Black people to seek healthcare, it has to be to the point the kid is actually out of control. If parents would just bite the bullet, and despite whatever they may feel, whether it's guilt, denial, or feeling like we must keep everything private, because we do that. We definitely do that as a community, as people. It would help to save a lot. It would help save a lot to their kids in the future. Erica Nikki Bailey, I am a first lady of a church on the west side and also live with major depression. I use my platform to educate the congregation about mental illness and how recovery is possible with a combination of spiritual, mental, and physical services. My goal is to raise awareness and reduce the stigma associated with mental illness. Shout out to Erica, First Lady, Erica Nikki Bailey, for that. We appreciate you sharing that and the platform that you're using as well. And Andrea Hall says, what's going on? We need trauma-informed learning institutions, aka schools. Yes, I had to read that for a second. We need trauma-informed learning institutions, aka schools. I love that. The necessity of social emotional learning and health in communities impacted by systemic oppression and generational disconnect, and fear-based
pedagogy.
Yeah, sure. Has got to be addressed. Look, it's small. I'm getting old. That's what it is. Has got to be addressed. How do we shift the paradigm? Punitive and corporal discipline measure in our homes and on our school campuses reinforce the idea that this works when the data clearly contradicts. Y'all are beautiful. Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
That was a lot. And she said part of my typos. Yeah, that was probably me just me. Don't worry about it. So, I think that I'm trying to keep up with everyone's comments here too. It's a lot of them coming in, and we appreciate you tuning in. Again, feel free to also give us a call, 708-223-8953 if you want to just speak with us directly. Andrew Hall also said, we know it exists. How do we address it with accountability and discipline as opposed to fear-based? There it is again. What is this? Thank you. These are the doctors. I haven't gotten my doctorate yet. In my defense, all right, I've not got my doctorate yet. That's why I got the doctor with me. And punitive discipline, as she mentioned earlier. It looks like So what do we do there?
Well, from a systemic point of view, we all have to agree that it's a systemic issue, as opposed to calling it for what it is. It's racial profiling within mental health, within services and access. Okay, now
we got some good wine tonight, y'all. That's what it is.
Let me scoot over. You said no cursing, but
we got it.
Just agreeing that this is a systemic issue. Understanding that in a lot of early childhood educational programs, part of the governmental funding is that children have to have an IEP. 25% of the children have to have an IEP. And I've sat in, meetings where the person like, we met our goal. And it's like, well, I don't know if we should be so happy about so many, do they really have, and I've seen it where the child really doesn't need an IEP.
Let me jump in for those of you that are tuning in and don't know either. What is IEP? For all of us that they use acronyms and we know what IEP is.
We're talking over people's heads.
You know what I'm saying? Just a little bit I don't know IEP.
I can't pull up my Google.
So
no, it's okay.
It's an individualized educational plan.
Oh, got it. Okay. Yeah. High five for the acronym. Thank you. Yeah.
But that's absolutely correct. What I've actually seen today, because one of the things that I'm doing and trying to build my own business in the mental health field is I have looked at and reflected over my years of practice. And I talk to my clients about, what do you need? What's missing? What are the gaps? And one of the big gaps that I see is that we have a lot of programs in place, and the people who know about them and access them, they're missing certain things. And so it's really hard to get anything done when programs only highlight this piece or that piece, or, it's not a holistic approach.
We got a phone call?
Mm-hmm.
Let me see if I can. There we go. Let me know when they're ready, Earl.
Yeah, they're ready.
All right. Let me set that up real quick. We didn't have that. I did.
Go ahead.
Good evening. This is Rick's room, and who am I on the phone with?
This is Andrea.
What's up, Andrea? Look, she said she was like, "Let me call in." Go ahead. What you got for us? What's going on?
Nothing. I just wanted to chime in with y'all conversation. I was having a very heated conversation about these topics earlier.
Really? Tell us about it.
So, of course, I'm from there, but now I live in Dallas. So if you think you see something in the school district there, imagine coming to the South. The commonality that I've seen among educators, anybody in educational management and anybody in administration is, let's whip these black kids into shape. Let's call it what it is. I have been in classrooms where black children display the exact same quote unquote behaviors, and by behavior I mean anything observable and measurable, not necessarily something that we don't want to see. And they are so quick to be either referred or some type of punitive discipline measure, whereas you'll have another student displaying this same type of behavior. And because of the disproportionality of white educators in public education, they automatically look at the white child as, oh, he must have some type of quote unquote mental, or is nothing that he can do about this. I want to put in all of these accommodations and modifications and response to intervention, actually giving him a label, but I want to label this black child so that I can, quote unquote, get him to the right spaces, which means I don't want to add his issues to my campus's data. I'm going to do everything that I can to get rid of him or put him in a different space.
Right.
It is so interesting how educators are so afraid and respond appropriately for the needs and like speak up on the needs of their children. So, you know, me from there, I'm kind of by any means necessary. You know, here.
I like you, Andrea.
Right. Yo, y'all gotta listen real quick. Y'all gotta check out Andrea on Facebook. Her Facebook posts have me dying every time. Like, I love it.
They so afraid to challenge quote unquote authoritative figures. And in my brain, you're a human just like I'm a human. So what you gonna do? Beat me up?
Right.
You know, like I go to bats often, and it's portrayed as the over passionate person in educational leadership, whereas we can have this funky on fire white girl who's saying the exact same things, but because she is automatically perceived as non-threatening, and I am, of course, a threat, it just throws a loophole and make it so much more difficult for our children to thrive in these situations.
Right.
So they push all of this fear to the kids, and even when they're asking like, well, what is the consequence? What is the consequence? What is the consequence? It's like, well, what do you think the consequence is going to be? Like, if they are taught and conditioned to believe that if I just give this kid a detention, or I put them in a self-contained situation, or put them in in-school suspension, or put them in out-of-school suspension, I somehow taught a corrective behavior. But our kids are never taught to practice what it is that we instill. Our teachers are so afraid to spend time teaching children what they want to see because they got to sit down and shut up and have these teacher-centered curriculum pushes, and it is just disgusting.
Right.
We got to change that in public education.
Right. And you know what? I'm thinking to myself, right back in our time of being in school, you know, our educators were big on, well, you know, but I don't know. I mean, I guess it really kind of depends on the region or area that you were in when you were in school and where you attended. Listen, Andrea, thank you for calling in and sharing your comments. I appreciate it. Let me know when you're back in Chicago. We definitely gotta hang out. All right.
Well, you know I'm always there.
Well, yo, shoot me a Facebook message next time you in town, and let's make sure we link up. All right.
Absolutely.
All right, Donna. Thank you so much for calling in. I appreciate you tuning in with us and keeping the discussion going. And you can definitely keep the discussion going on Facebook. All right.
All right. Thank y'all.
All right. Have a good one. Take care. So yeah, no, she's absolutely, it's an in button there. It says on off there, right? Yep, that long one. Yeah, sure. Okay, so we're definitely keeping the conversation going here in Rick's room about Dear Black People, our last episode of Dear Black People, mental health. It is a thing. You can always find us here live every Wednesday at 8 o'clock at IntellectualRadio.com or an iHeartRadio at iTunes station. And also, just wanted to heads up, this episode also is being brought to you by Agent Eric Lane of New York Life. Listen, so while we're talking about our kids, it takes a lot more than just good grades to get into college. It definitely takes parents who plan ahead. So you can join Agent Eric Lane for a complimentary college funding seminar, courtesy of New York Life. Thursday, March 17th at 6:30 p.m., located at the Center on Halsted. That's 3656 North Halsted Street, Chicago, Illinois. There's absolutely no cost or obligation to attend, and any information that you receive is free. Let me say that again. There is no cost or obligation, y'all. So this is free information about planning for your child to get into college. And while we're talking about our children and the mental health coverage that they also get in you as a parent, raising kids in society, because Lord knows if you're raising kids today, within itself, it's a feat. So you probably need your mental health coverage as well. But definitely check out Eric Lane. Reservations are required. So call 617-901-9460 or email Eric at elane, Layne, at ft.newyorklife.com. Go to Rick's room and on the Facebook page, on Facebook to get all the additional details. Shauna said she tried to call. Shauna, go ahead and give us a call back and just then talk to us about your comments as well. And while we're waiting on her to give us a call, I appreciate y'all calling in and joining this conversation. Again, share this on your page. Yes. Let your friends and family get involved with this conversation too. What do you all think about the millennials? As we talked about our children possibly now having to experience PTSD or exposed to or have that to deal with. Do you think the millennials even really care? Because the millennials, like, do they really? Yeah. I mean, please let me know.
I don't know what I look like to you, but I'm a millennial.
All right, you tried it.
No, me too.
You know what? Our generation. Is she calling?
Right. I think that might be a phone call. But go ahead and hit that large button there. We'll get back to that in just a second. Go ahead. Good evening. You are in Rick's room. Who are we speaking with?
It's Shauna. Can y'all hear me?
What's going on, Shauna? We can hear you. Shauna. What's up?
Hi there. I have a question for the doctors.
There's two of them.
I'm sorry. So as a child, I don't know if the rules still apply today, but as a child, I was just getting counseling when I actually needed medication. Mm-hmm. And I was wondering, why will they not give children medication if they need it?
Why wouldn't they give children medication if they needed it?
Yeah, like and paranoia and things of that sort. It kind of became a monster as I became an adult, and I had to catch up with it.
Gotcha. I'll try to tackle that question. Now, I believe in experts, and I have a PhD in counselor education and supervision, not psychiatry. So that being said, I know I have a lot of clients, who have issues as children, and maybe their parents are concerned about giving them medication because of the possible side effects or something of that nature. And so typically doctors are hesitant to give children medication because often it has more adverse effects on children than it does on adults because your brains are still developing. Exactly. And so, it's a protective measure sometimes.
Okay, I got you. Gotcha. Okay.
Well, thank you so much, Ms. Shauna, for calling in. Are you still? So Shauna has been working with, is it Chicago Med or Chicago Fire, Chicago PD, all three?
Today is Chicago Med. That's why I asked, could you hear me? Because I'm on set now.
Oh, she called on set. Well, we won't tell them, but make sure you say hi to all of those wonderful actors on all of the Chicago series, right? All of them. Well, you get back to work, Shauna. Thank you so much for calling in. We'll catch up soon, and I appreciate you sharing and a question for the doctors. Thank you so much.
Okay, no problem. Y'all have a good one.
You too.
All right, take care.
All righty.
Hit that button, Marley. I need you with me.
Yeah.
All right, so we were getting the conversation about the millennials, right? Yeah. Because I get that the millennials don't really care about anything. Right, to me, I don't know, but so you're a millennial. Yeah. Please tell me.
No, millennials, we care. We are a call to action generation.
Okay.
So we're beyond the whole speech, do as I say, not as I do. It's like, if you're gonna tell me something, show me and let's do it. Mm-hmm. So I can't say that we don't care. We do. We just have our experience is different. So the old minds, the old school, not old, but the more seasoned mindset. I don't know. I don't want to offend anyone.
We'll go with that. Yeah, right.
The traditional mindset is that, you go to school, you get a degree, you work this job, and then life will be great. But then we did that. We went to school, we got our degrees, and it's like, no, where is the job?
Exactly. Where's the stability?
And we have to, where's the stability? And we have to juggle and do several things just to have an income. So it's not that we don't.
You know what?
I hope I answered.
Let me interrupt something, because now that I think about it,
you're a millennial.
No, I'm really not. I'm on the cusp. I teeter. Apparently, like I'm at the age. There's this 5-year generation between Generation X and Generation Millennials, and they're called Zennials. And
Zennials.
Zennials, right?
I'm a Zennial.
And right, so apparently I fall in that range. I'm an ex-Zennial, cool. So I can relate to both. You know what I'm saying? I'm real versatile, as they say, in certain communities. But so I kind of fluctuate. But now that I think about it, I might be in a millennial area or a Zennial area. But I'm thinking millennials, and I'm incorrect in my generation assignment. I apologize. Past the millennials, that generation that hasn't been named yet. I don't even know what they call them yet.
The youngest generation.
The youngest generation, right? They don't really care about much of anything.
So, I've had people, because I'm on Psychology Today. Shout out to Psychology Today. If you're a mental health professional, you're not on it, you need to get on it.
Come on, Psychology Today.
But I've had folks reach out to me through that platform. And I had someone from the unnamed generation, middle school age person, reach out to me and say, I had an issue in school. I was feeling suicidal. What do I do? And so I was able to address it just via email, because, there are ethical guidelines and limitations according to age. But I was so impressed with this person's ability to reach out to a mental health professional for an issue that happened at school that could have easily been dismissed as, oh, you got bullied a little, get over it. And they said, no, I need to talk to a mental health professional about this. So I think what's happening with the millennials and the Zennials, or whatever we're called.
we're Zennials. Oh, us. Got it. Yes.
Us folks.
Represent.
Yes. Is that we are realizing, because we kind of got dealt a bad hand, in a sense that, like you said, we were taught, you go to school, you work hard, you get a job, you stay in a company, you retire. And that's not the case for us at all. We had to do something different. So we are looking for access in different ways. We have Uber, we have Airbnb, we share things, we support each other differently. And so I'm even thinking about expanding and changing my practice to be like, well, how do I share it? How millennialize so that it's more appropriate for the generations. My millennial clients, quote unquote, are some of my favorites, because they reach out to me and say, I need help being an adult. And I'm like, yes, I love you.
Don't we all, though?
Exactly.
This adulting thing is just, so stressful.
I need another class.
You know what? Right. And I think our adulting, from like our generation up or down, whatever, is different from, say, like our parents, adulting, because for them it was, it's what you did. You went to work, you had routine, right? Everything were very routine in that generation, whereas we're not. There's a lot of variance, there's a lot of variables, so it kind of fluctuates there. Let me ask you this, and we're going to be wrapping up here very soon. Just real quick, I recently learned that adolescent mental health generally is the first to be cut from certain healthcare institutions because of lack of funding. Like adolescent health is the first one that gets cut. What do you all think about that?
Well, I mean, the whole thing, I don't know how true this is now, but they were building prisons based off of test scores. So if you, and we know also an early intervention specialist. So the earlier you get in to correct potential behaviors, the better the outcome. Well, if you cut those institutions out, then I can plan. You talk about planning ahead. I can plan for who I'm gonna put in prisons. So
school to prison pipeline.
Exactly.
Wow. That's crazy. That is crazy. Well, listen, ladies, we got to wrap up here, and I want to say thank you so much for joining in to with this discussion and kicking it with me in Rick's room. Did you have a good time tonight?
Great time.
Yeah. Well, listen. Back in, we got to have some more conversation around this. And real quick to wrap up, again, share this on your Facebook page. Make sure that your family and friends can see this. Any quick last words, ladies, for the viewers and the listeners?
As if you need help, get help. Make sure that you're talking to your doctor about whatever symptoms you're having. And if your doctor doesn't listen to you, Make them listen, or you have the right, whatever insurance plan you're on, to switch your doctor out if you're not getting the services you want. Because remember, we're here to serve the public. It's also go to your alderman. What's going on in your community?
That's it too.
Exactly.
That's it too.
Look,
Dr. Brandon, any last words to wrap up?
Mental health is a public health issue. We need to make it that, because it's public health, but it's not public health. So we need to go Wakanda to the polls. Come
on, Wakanda.
We need to Wakanda to the polls and make sure that our elected officials are making this a public health issue.
Yeah, and special shout out to and thanks to the producer of this show, Mr. Al Young at Al Young Enterprises, just launched his dining experience, and that's Eat Everything Al Touches by IAMAY3 III. Roman numeral 3, providing resources in performance and production engagements, artistic development, and personal image consulting. Call them at 773-220-9869. Thank you so much. Next on Intellectual Radio, we have Dana Michelle, with Dana being Dana. Love Has No Boundaries on the Love Line. She'll be coming in, so tune in to her show. Thank you, ladies, again. Thank y'all for watching. It's time to go get out.
Bye.
Bye.